Greetings and welcome to another episode of Insert Title Here, episode 2. Now, don't everyone get confused. The first episode was an 8-hour stream. This is not going to be 8 hours. That was an outlier, okay? Just like that poll that was in Iowa that was showing Kamala was going to win it.
I will drag this out as long as possible.
So I want to start off with saying hello, and we will start with my guest for the night, potentially just a person that will always be on, depending on scheduling. Darnell, how'd you get going?
Oh, not much, man. Just finished over on Rogues Gallery. Theo, I just saw he will be coming. Give him a few minutes. He said he's coming.
Okay.
So Theo will be here. What's up, Michael?
Yep, as soon as he jumps in, we will get him going.
How are you doing, man?
I'm not too bad. I mean, it's been a great week. It is quite amazing how much has actually occurred this week, and it is amazing to only imagine that it was only Tuesday that he was elected president.
I know.
Doesn't it feel like it was longer ago already?
It does. I'm waking up. I'm feeling election hangover. Like it feels like it was just yesterday was the election because, before we were bombarded constantly about the election,
and now it's almost completely gone.
Yeah,
but that's true of every campaign. Every single time we get to pass the election, they've run out of money, or there's no reason to do any more ad spends or anything like that. So I mean it's almost like a dead cutoff. As soon as the election happens, all the ads completely stop. And because of it being November, guess what we have now? We've got Christmas commercials now. We're inundated now with, hey, you can earn Black Friday savings now.
Yay.
I think it's more or less. So tonight we got a couple topics. We're going to give them just a little bit of time before we kind of jump into topics, which got a couple, then we'll talk about for a little bit. Other than that, it's just the weather's changing. We're coming up here. We are in the season of giving. Everyone's like, well, is it Christmas time? Is it Thanksgiving? What's your opinion on it?
It's the season of giving has now ballooned to include November.
See, I call it the season of giving. We start with giving thanks, and then we end with giving gifts.
Yeah.
So it's just the season of giving.
Yeah. So. Oh, I thought you were asking my opinion on when I thought it began. Yeah.
Oh no. Yeah.
It is the season of giving. You're giving, like you said, thanks, and people start doing a lot more charity this month. I've noticed. Yep. And then, it concludes in December. And then come January, everyone's back being selfish pricks.
Yep. And then in January, we start mass deportation. So, I mean, it's that and maybe another season of giving.
Giving people back
notice that you're no longer welcome. You need to leave. And if you want to come back, you can do it by the proper means. Because that's what Trump was saying. I mean, you remember from his victory speech at the end there, he even said, look, we want immigrants, but you got to do it the legal way.
Right.
You need to leave and you need to apply legally, which again goes against the left's entire opinion on it, which is that he's just going to shut down the border completely, kick out legal and illegal immigrants, and make the country white again. Which is just amazing that the mental rot that's occurred. How many times does he actually have to say these things for them to actually understand that that's not what he's doing? That's not what he says. But we've seen the meltdowns. We've enjoyed the meltdowns. It's proven to me one simple fact. Mental illness is an epidemic currently in the United States.
Yes.
And there are a lot of people that have become so brainwashed by the mainstream propagandists that that's all they've watched. They've watched CNN, MSNBC, and just listening to the Democrat Party and just buying in completely to their BS. So you see it in their mental breakdown.
I've noticed. I've seen people. Again, I mentioned this Tuesday night. I mentioned it tonight at Rose Gallery. People have gone to school with people who are as old as me. They're in their mid-40s, and there is no changing their mind. I got a buddy inside. He moved to South Carolina. He made a big old freaking public post how him and his wife are never coming back to even to visit again, just because their family members voted against them.
It's well, then we've seen in the reaction videos of these kids literally willing to disown parents. And the other thing is too is just the whole arrested development that seems to be going on with the younger generation. And it's not even just the younger generation. It almost seems like even our generation seems to be reverting back to a childish behavior. They don't get their way. We're going to break your toys. We're going to stomp around and we're going to scream up at the sky because it's really going to help anything. So joining us also is Theo. How you doing, Theo?
Hey, I'm doing good. I have something on that actually. Did you guys see that video of that lady? She was quite a boomer, and she got kicked off a plane for yelling at this guy who was sitting next to her on the plane who was wearing a MAGA hat. And she got herself and her husband kicked off the plane. And this woman has to be at least in her 60s. You know,
wow.
She's old enough that if she were gonna ever mature emotionally, it would have happened by now, right? And she's this guy. I imagine he just got on an airplane wearing his MAGA hat, just thinking he would get some, stares, but thinking, it's victory. I'm taking my victory lap. And then this woman got so rowdy that and her husband is just sitting there saying not a word. He's done. He's one of these boomer husbands that's just checked out, like he's done, And so she's trying to fight with the flight attendant. It's like, no, you can't throw me off the plane. I paid for my seat. They're like, we super can actually throw you off the plane, and we're gonna do that. They're like, but he's a Trump supporter. He likes Nazis and because that's really how they think. They have this fucking cotton candy ass, fucking Harry Potter ass informed view of the world and how everything works. And they're the good guys, and we're Voldemort, and they're righteous no matter what happens. The ends justify the means. And if anybody ever says no to anything, they throw an apoplectic shit fit.
Yeah, it seems Arrested Development seems to be able to be attained even in older years. Let's see what.
Sorry, no, I'm not trying to interrupt you.
Oh, no, it's fine. Saw something on X that Trump was going to redirect money that they spent on Ukraine and use it to help the homeless. Would love to see that. I would as well. I guess
veterans in the houses, man. Shit.
I guess. Oh yeah, and also we got a new mod.
Congrats.
I would also like to say that, I mean, we recently had the report where Musk was sitting in with a phone call with Trump to Ukraine. And I guess the message pretty much to Ukraine was, we're not giving you any more support, no more money, nothing else. You come to the table and you are going to negotiate the end of this war.
Mm-hmm.
And you could see that when Trump met with Zelensky back during the campaign, you could see the kind of the defeat in Zelensky's face that he knew. He's like, yeah, he's going to be the president. This is the way it's going to go. Other results of the election, the stock market taking off.
I haven't noticed it in my portfolio at all. Like I have some stocks on Robinhood and some quick crypto. Before the election, I lost like about $80 since the election. It's steadily going down.
Oh man,
I think you're investing in the wrong items.
Well, before the election, everything kind of shot up. Like I have stocks in Donald Trump, his media, that was climbing. Everything else is climbing. But I do have an Acorns account that's investing. I haven't checked that. That might be climbing though. I haven't seen that lately.
Notice the crypto markets have kind of taken off as well.
That's something mine aren't climbing. I have Shiba.
The United election is when I really kind of noticed that things kind of took off a little bit. It's not as rocketing as much. I mean, it jumped almost like 1,000 points.
Oh shit.
Yeah. After the announcement of Trump's election win.
Landslide victory.
Now, one thing I've noticed in the media too, which I find it's very telling of the media. They're refusing to call in articles. They're not calling him President-elect Trump. They're still calling him former President Trump.
Yep.
It's the slight. I mean, when they're talking about all these articles and stuff about what's going on with him, it's always former President Trump. Well, no, actually, the correct moniker currently is President-elect Trump. So, Theo, how are you doing, Theo?
I'm doing great, man. Did you see I saw something on Twitter that Trump called up Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, and he was like, "Hey man, see if you can get this war wrapped up by the time I'm sworn in. Thanks." Like, what I think would be so funny is if the Israel-Palestine war and the Ukraine war were both wrapped up by the time Trump got into office, because those are the left's most important issues. And he just wraps them up and he's like, "You're welcome." And then he just starts fixing America.
I wish I had saved it, bookmarked it, but there was something that came out literally the day after the election that said Hamas leaders are willing to now come to the table. And I think it was actual news, somewhat credible news that were claiming that already. And I'm like, yep, that makes sense. I mean, look what happened. Reagan got elected and the hostages were released. Trump has been elected, and now looks like might have an end to the conflict in Ukraine and the conflict with Israel and the Gaza Strip.
Oh God, guys, we are so fucking back.
We're
back. It's great. It's so good.
It's nice. Oh God, yes.
Yes. I don't think anyone could have stand 4 years of listening to her speak or her cackle. She restrained for the most part her cackling because she knew it was off-putting on a lot of stuff. But if she got elected, that cackle would have been around all the time.
Oh my God.
So
I couldn't have done it.
Okay, well,
we're
gonna start off with Republicans. We're going to talk about some Republicans. Republicans for Harris campaign reported to the FEC.
Uh-oh.
It seems the Lincoln Project and the Cheneys might be in a little bit of trouble. So, Turning Point Action Committee has filed a complaint against Republicans for Harris campaign group to the Federal Elections Commission. Tyler Boyer, COO of the conservative organization Turning Point Action, who campaigned on behalf of President-elect Donald Trump, accused the group of making up for GOP figures backing Vice President Kamala Harris of violating federal law with its advertising in Arizona and not making full disclosure to the public. The whole point is when we listen to these campaigns, what do they always say at the end of the campaigns? I mean, the campaign ads. It's if it's coming right from the campaign itself, it's usually I'm President Trump and I endorse this message, or I'm Kamala Harris and I prove this. Or if it comes from a super PAC, they have to announce this ad was paid for by the America First super PAC. They have to announce it. So it looks like they weren't making that disclosure anywhere in their campaign ads, which is a complete violation. They have to disclose that it is where that's coming from. An FEC spokesperson told Newsweek any complaints potentially filed with the agency must remain confidential until they are resolved. Newsweek has contacted the Republicans for Harris group for comment via social media and Turning Point Action for comments via email. I have a feeling the campaign did not respond Well, we'll find out on that one, won't we? Harris campaigned heavily on convincing disillusioned Republicans to vote for her over Trump, including appearing on the campaign trail several times with former GOP Wyoming Congresswoman Liz Cheney, her and her warhawk father. I'm so glad that Wyoming came to their senses and booted her. I don't know why she just is continued to stay as a Republican. She's not a Republican. She is the definition of a rhino. She might as well just call herself a Democrat.
Also, one thing that I know they're trying to attract disillusioned Republicans. I didn't see that many disillusioned Republicans this time.
No,
Not this time. We
I
saw
feel
him in we saw him in
Yeah.
2020.
Yeah, there were. I would say in 2016 and 2020, there were people who were just like absolutely sick of the political process. But this time, people were excited about the Trump campaign.
Yeah, I remember I trying to get my wife to vote last time. She was like, "Yeah, okay." She would get aggravated with me. Now I hounded her, and she was like, "Okay, yeah, I need to remember." She was excited.
Let's see. The tactic did not appear to work. Not only did Harris seem to lose part of the support of Democrats, no kidding. You're aligning with Republican warhawks, the complete opposite of what you should be, who voted in the 2020 election. She only got the backing of 5% of registered Republicans, which if you're voting for Kamala and you're a Republican, you're not a Republican. I could give you voting third party for like the Libertarian. I could give you a little bit of that, but voting for Kamala as a Republican, and that's all according to CNN exit polling. This is just slightly more than 4% registered Democrats who voted for Trump over Harris. Well, Democrats that voted for Trump, come and join the Republican Party. Turning Point PAC just filed an FEC complaint against the sham Republicans for Harris campaign in Arizona. Boyer posted on X, formerly Twitter, on Thursday while sharing a letter of complaint to the FEC. Not only was their campaign an embarrassing failure, we believe that they did not make proper disclosure to the general public. We do believe it is important to expose dark money backers, bad actors, and entities who have been manipulating Arizonans for a far too long, Boyer added.
So the entire Harris thing?
Yeah.
Not just Republicans for Harris?
Well, we've seen it. I mean, we saw it in 2020. We saw it in 2020, how much problems they had in Arizona.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm just saying dark money backers, bad actors, and entities who have been manipulating Arizonans. So basically,
right,
everyone who the Democrats got to say, "Hey, vote for Kamala."
Well, we see it every single time. We see it every single time with the Democrat. I mean, with the Democrats doing their projection, they always blame the Republicans for bad actors, dark money, and dark money every single time.
You know what's so crazy is like because they bragged about how quickly Kamala was able to set all these fundraising records. And she raised like $1 billion for this campaign, and somehow she ended up like $20 million in debt or something like that. Somehow.
Yep, that's the next topic we'll be getting into.
Crazy. Like, and the fact that I agree with you though, I think the fact that she raised as much money as she did as quickly as she did had to be nefarious. There's no way that's grandma sending in $50. That's no way.
It's really hard. I mean, what I find amazing is how do dead people even have a bank account?
well, to be fair, my grandmother died in 2018, and I'm responsible for closing all of her accounts. I'm not allowed to because she never put my name on the account, so she technically still has an open bank account.
And it's sad that she voted Democrat this year.
No, I think if she did, she'd have come. Maybe 2020 she did. Now I think she'd have come down and pulled my toes. Hey, go fix this.
Well, it's the projection we see every single time we have these elections. We saw it in their in the messaging that they were putting onto Trump. He's going to be a dictator. He's going to weaponize the justice system against his political enemies. He's going to jail his political rivals. He's gonna censor people. It's like, this is every single thing that you guys have already done.
Yeah.
The one thing that was the most annoying was them coming out, Kamala doing her what looked like a press conference, all set up right there, and coming out and saying that he is a threat to the American people, and that he's going to use the military on the American people, which incidentally, Biden just signed into law allowing the military to use deadly force against the American people on our soil.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. What a time we live in.
There, the crazy one, my favorite one is when people on the left, I saw this a couple of times, very left-wing people who are upset about the possibility of a Trump presidency were, talking to their phones like, hey, just so you know, Trump is going to try to move everybody into camps. So make sure to buy a gun and plenty of survival supplies and all this stuff. Right. And then I thought about that and I was like, he's never said anything that indicates that. But if you put that guy in charge, and one of these left-wing people, if you put them in charge, that's what they would do to us if they could. They would move us all into camps if they could. And they're so scared that if Trump gets into power, he's going to do what they would do if they were in power. That's what they're worried about.
Yes.
I mean, it was a running gag before the election. Everyone, when us stating our opinions and stuff like that, it's like, well, at least we'll have roomies at the camps. I mean, we joked about it.
I would be honored. I would be honored to bunk with you guys at the re-education camp.
Hell yeah. So yeah, like they're projecting what they want to happen, saying that we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
They're just deflecting it onto us because it's what they would do if they had power, like you said. Like 100%.
Now, what is amazing is this line right here. It says Trump currently, is currently near 6 points ahead of Harris in Arizona, 52% to 46, with 76% of the vote counted, according to the Associated Press. Trump is on course to sweep all 7 battleground states. What is amazing is Associated Press is about the only organization that has not called the race yet. From the last time I looked, Associated Press has still not called Nevada or Arizona yet for Trump. CNN has, MSNBC has, Fox has.
I wonder why they're dragging ass.
They're trying to hope that it'll be overturned.
That's so weird because you think, oh well, if there was any hope that CNN or that Kamala was going to win, you'd think CNN would be all in on that, trying to prop it up. It's weird that it's just the AP.
Yeah.
Now I think it's fine with the states controlling their own elections and how they do them when it's state level.
Sure.
When it's federal level, I think there needs to be federal guidelines that they must do it a certain way. Because this is for a federal election. This isn't a state level. It needs to be uniform across the country.
Yeah. Well, especially now because there's so much distrust in the election process, which I remember in 2020, I'm old enough to remember back in the old days of 2020 when it was considered treason to question the election results. And then I pulled up my Instagram yesterday and I found out actually it's your patriotic duty to question the election results if Donald Trump wins.
Yeah.
Right. And here's the thing, because there's so many people who are talking so much shit about the election process and that chart where 2020, for some reason, the Democrats had like 20 million more votes than they normally get. That sketched me out. Now I agree with you. We gotta do something about this election system so we can restore trust in the process. Because if people don't trust elections, they're going to use guns to talk, and that's not good for anybody. We got to have elections we can trust.
What is downright surprising is that for the most part, Trump has gotten the exact same amount of votes as he did in 2020.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it shows that either the Democrats had some funny business going on with their votes, or they didn't show up to vote. But yet Trump supporters didn't abandon him.
No, I actually think because it was 2020 and that election was such a shit show because of the COVID and or the unknown viruses of unknown origin. It's that election was a shit show. And I've heard a couple of people speculate about where those extra votes came from. But yeah, it was definitely something. It was definitely something. And I'm not sure what it was. I don't have any information you don't have. I'm just looking at the math and I'm saying it doesn't add up. Like something happened, you know? And what's so crazy is back then, the election where something really did happen, that was the election where they said you're committing treason if you question the election. And now looking at the numbers, and it's like, man, I really wish we'd questioned a little harder.
Well, look at the questioning of the election that happened in 2016. They, went into a full investigation mode over Trump's win.
But then 2020, they were like, no, don't look.
And then the final, in a statement made hours before Trump was declared winner of the 2024 race, Republicans for Harris said, "Thank you to every single Republican who voted for Kamala Harris today. You took a stand on the right side of history." I hate that line so damn much.
Yes.
You don't even our side. We don't know if we're on. No one knows who's on the right side of history until it's already passed, and it's decades later when they're looking back and armchairing what occurred. That's when you kind of determine who was the right side of history.
Yep. Oh, who said that? What actor said that recently? It was maybe a year or two ago, or maybe for the 2020 election. Some actor said that, and I was not heartbroken because I don't get into actors that much, but I was like a little like, sad, and I'm like, man, I didn't think you would like that. I'm trying to remember who it was. Yeah.
You want to know what social media has done? It's destroyed our illusion of our favorite singers and actors and actresses actually being decent human beings.
Yeah.
It goes back to that old saying, never meet your heroes.
Yeah.
Now, I've never been one that's actually kind of took into the celebrity aspect. They're just human beings that have the ability to lie to you and convince you they're someone else, or they have a good singing voice and are talented to be able to write poetry and put it to music. It's really what it is. It's just they have a certain specific talent.
I would love to be like famous for like movies or like what YouTube, whatever, and do an interview and get asked that question. Oh, so what do you feel about this? I don't fucking know. Don't ask me. I just act. I don't know shit about politics. I know my politics, and that's all I know, man. Vote who you want to vote for. Just make sure you vote.
I've said it before that I would give more credibility to the opinion of a local plumber than I would a celebrity out of Hollywood.
Yep.
Right. Well, because the local plumber knows how much eggs cost. Like a celebrity has no idea. They don't do their own shopping. They've got people who do that for them, or they have it delivered, or whatever. They've got no idea what regular person problems are. Like that plumber's trying to pay a mortgage. He's probably got, kids that need shoes. He's got real human problems.
Right. That local plumber grew up in a middle-class household. Loved his yard. Made mustard greens in the bathtub. What's crazy is you keep bringing up my father was a plumber, and I value his opinion like tremendously when it comes to politics.
Because a lot of, not all plumbers, but a lot of plumbers are small business owners too. Yeah. So they're working within regulations. They're working within standards that they have to meet. They get the burden, if they have staff, of having to pay taxes and stuff as being a small business owner. So they're the ones that are getting the most attack when they add all these regulations that are no problem to like Amazon's and Microsoft's and Apple. Well, it's crushing to a small business that would have to sit there and to hire a huge legal team just to be able to get through all the regulations to be able to run their small business.
Yeah.
Kamala Harris wanted to come out, and Democrats always want to come out and say that they're for small business. But when you look at their policy choices and everything that they pushed for policy, it crushes small business.
Yeah, 100%.
One thing that's true about plumbers, Drew, is that's a job where it's very hard to deny reality. Because you end up elbow deep in reality on a somewhat regular basis, and you also have to deal with, like you're saying, the realities of running a business. So when the economy's not as good, you notice, when the currency isn't going as far, you notice, things cost more, it matters. And a lot of these bullshit laptop jobs that we created to make feminists happy so they'd have something to do with their gender studies degrees, we sent them all into the HR department, and they boop on laptops and they don't do anything, and they sit in air-conditioned offices all day. Like, they don't do anything. They don't interact with reality. So if you don't interact with reality, you can have these bullshit beliefs that contradict reality, and you think you should put those people in government, right? Whereas the plumber doesn't have the luxury of denying reality. He gets reality splattered on his face, every morning.
Literally.
Yeah. Like, he can't deny reality. He has to confront it, and that's why he's going to be more reasonable every time than somebody with some of these bullshit laptop jobs,
Well, one thing that was good, one thing that's been great about like TikTok is we've been able to see these women that work at social media and see their jobs and go, really? You pretty much did nothing all day, got free meals, and then you're complaining about how hard your job is.
Yeah.
And then whine about it. Yeah, you guys are so far out of the touch of reality. No wonder you guys believe so easily the talking points of a certain political party.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because they know that if he won. No, go on.
No, the good news is, it's like that. Again, the tech bubble started to burst this year, and a lot of those positions got eliminated. And then Elon showed us that he could eliminate 80% of the staff at Twitter, and that the website still runs, which means most of those bullshit diversity jobs were not necessary. All those admins and HR people, you could just get them the fuck out of there. Hire a bunch of, autistic Asian guys like the good old 1980s, and let's get this company to run. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's make it happen. And Twitter is my favorite social media app now. It used to suck. I used to avoid Twitter. Now I love it. It's great.
Yeah, I was a Facebook guy before I joined the Rogues group, and about a year and a half ago, now I'm like, fuck face. I'm all Twitter now.
Yeah, I'm doing X and all the way, and I'm telling you, man, like this, I think this, the people who occupy these bloated, pointless bureaucracies where all they care about is diversity and celebrating celebrating Indigenous Peoples Day and fucking land acknowledgements and all that shit is going to go because people are annoyed. People are done with it. People are over it. And they're like, okay, I want to be nice. I want to be a nice person, but you've pushed me too far. It's getting too weird. You got to do some of that stuff. You got to do at your house. Like, if you're going to wear a dog mask, you got to do that at home. You can't do that at school.
Oh. No one gets to look inside my weird closet.
No.
It's for me.
Here's the thing. It used to be cool to do weird stuff in private. That's what makes it cool and fun.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is a little off topic, but I promise I can bring it around. It's like drag shows. You used to have to be cool as a straight person to even find a drag show.
Yeah.
You used to have to be cool enough to have a gay friend, and then they would invite you to a secret gay bar, and they'd have to be sure that you wouldn't ruin the vibe. And then you'd go in there and you'd see some gnarly drag show. It would be like an overweight gay man. He'd be singing some vile song. It was clearly adults only entertainment, kind of a scuzzy place, but that's what made it interesting, right? But now when you have drag queens at the local library, twerking for kids, that's not cool anymore. That's too much.
No.
That's too much sunlight.
No.
Yeah. Things when they become too popular are no longer cool. That we've seen that so many times. I mean, a TV show blows up. Everyone's watching it. Well, it's not as much fun anymore. You don't have that little special. Oh, I know this little show. Tell a couple people about it. Oh, it's great. You need to check this out. Now everyone's watching it. Everyone's talking about it. It's like, well, I'm not interested anymore in. I mean, what's the point?
It's oversaturated, and it becomes and then it becomes funny to dunk on it. And I think that's what we're seeing with this next generation of kids. Like, millennials are super bought into the LGBTQ agenda, right? But this next generation coming up, they don't do that. It irritates their millennial teachers when they dunk on LGBTQ stuff. So that's what they're dunking on now. It's come full circle.
Every next generation revolts against the previous generation.
Mm-hmm. And that's millennials they're having such a hard time accepting that they're not cool anymore. It's over. Yeah. It's over. We're done.
Welcome to our generation. We've not been cool for a while now.
Yep. And you see, I started late, so my kids are not the generation after me. They're the generation after that. So they're kind of like, because there's that gap, they don't hate my generation.
Good.
Like my oldest will sit and will like when she's fucking 12, but she's 12 where she like doesn't talk to anybody. If you compliment her, she freaks out. But occasionally we'll talk and like she'll be like, "Why are people mad at this?" I'm like, well, it's this, and this. She's like, "Oh, that's stupid." Like trans people. She's like, "Why is it such a big deal?" And I explained it to her. She's like, "Kids don't know how to make their own fucking choices." Well, she didn't say fucking. I did. Kids don't know how to make their own choices.
Right.
Like that's stupid. I'm like, thank you.
Yeah. I like Gen X.
How many times have we seen? I mean, even women today that are against this movement that said, "Hey, I was a tomboy when I grew up. When I was growing up. Thank goodness that this movement wasn't around because they're now a beautiful woman that is very girly and very feminine and love being a woman."
Yeah.
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 Now they're not mutilated with chemicals and everything else, and now sterile because they're and never going to have kids. I'm just waiting for
we're just waiting for the lawsuits to drop, man. I swear to God, the fact that we got this deep into it, the fact that we did as much as we've already done before people started to ask questions, the fact that other European countries banned it before we started looking into it. Like the fact that it took basically a soft coup in this country and we had to basically overthrow and gut the entire government to get a president in power who was willing to be like, we're just not doing this shit anymore. I'm going to ban this shit on day one. It's like, my man.
And the thing, yeah. And while the left that's freaking out is saying that it's for everyone, that he's going to ban it for everyone. No, that's not what he said.
Just kids.
It's just for kids. When I grew up, I wanted to be a T-Rex. I mean, come on. No, kids don't know anything at that age. And what is happening is they're forcing mature adult content onto little kids. They have no idea.
Yeah, these are people who they don't believe in the innocence of childhood. They don't have any kids of their own because they can't, either because of their relationship style or because of the hormones or whatever. They can't have their own children, or and so they don't have any concept of the innocence of childhood. They don't believe that that's sacred. They don't want to protect children. They want to bring children into their weird bullshit because also that helps them win the argument too, because so if trans is something that you just are, right, and that makes it okay to be a civil rights issue because that's just part of your identity, right? Then just like if being trans is the same thing as being black, basically, then since there are black kids, there must then also be trans kids, right? That's how they got there. That's how they made that jump in logic, because this is just something that you are. We're born this way. Therefore, there must be trans kids. So this is just like they're backfilling the logic they need to justify their current position, and they like corrupting children.
Yeah. Yeah. Like they almost get off on it.
I think it's so creepy and weird. Like I cannot imagine like having children dress up as drag queens, dance with, or like having grown men like twerking in thongs in front of children. I cannot imagine why that would ever be okay, or why we would ever act like that was okay.
It's pure predatory behavior.
Like growing up in the 90s, Emerald, you can probably you might have. I mean, I don't know if you grew up in the North, so I don't know if y'all were as weird as we were in the South down here. My big go-to to get girls to talk to me and to talk to girls was to dress in drag. It was like I would do it like complete wig, fucking makeup, everything, and I got my dude thought I was a fucking fag, and people wanted to beat my ass, but like the chicks were like, "What are you doing?" Like, I don't know, it's funny. Like, this guy's funny, and next thing you know, panty drop.
Well, it's the fact that if you look at old movies, the dressing up in drag was a joke. It was played for comedy.
Yes.
Tu Wong Fu.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, what spy movie they did it in? Fuck.
Spies Like Us.
Yes. I'm thinking one specifically. Where a guy dressed in drag, was it Mel Gibson? And like someone kept trying to hit on him, and finally he like grabbed him and like
I can't remember.
like growled at him, or like said whatever he said with his growly voice, and the guy like took off running.
Yeah. Men in drag used to be. It's first of all, it's objectively funny. Very silly when men dress like ladies. Very funny, humorous, and we've agreed on that basically since we've been able to make movies. And also before that in theater, we've always agreed men in drag, funny, especially if they're in disguise, especially if they're a cop who's in disguise as a lady to try to catch somebody. Very funny, great stuff. Better if he has a dog, right? Mrs. Doubtfire, classic.
South Park and their police chief.
Yes.
It used to be just this. I don't know. I don't buy that this country is just horribly bigoted and evil and just. I think we just have a certain tolerance for stuff that's fucking weird. And here's the thing. I had a dear friend of mine who was very woke that unfortunately no longer speaks to me. And I tried to tell her like how I felt about some of this stuff using the most delicate language that I could. And she said, you are so preoccupied with what other people do with their genitals. And that's weird. And I was like, first of all, everyone believes there should be limits on what you could do with your genitals. That's why I can jerk off in my bedroom, but I can't jerk off at an elementary school. There's a reason. We all believe there should be limits. We all believe that. It's a question of where the limits are. Right. Yep. And for me, all this whole, like, I know you're telling me it's not about grooming children, but when it's a grown man and his ass is like leaving shit streaks on a child's shirt because he's giving him a lap dance, I'm saying that feels groomy to me. And I'm not weird for saying that. We're not a bigoted country. We're a very tolerant country compared to most other places of the world. If you tried that in Qatar, you would just get decapitated. They wouldn't put
Palestine.
Well, it's the victim status and victimhood that they're doing in this country. It's like this again is the whole fact that you guys act like you are so worldly and know everything about the world, but you completely don't understand what would happen if you took your victim status to the Middle East.
Yeah,
that's where you're going to have true victim status.
Be dead before lunch.
Not here in the U.S. You go and have your parades and stuff. We allow that here in the U.S. Go try that in Gaza. Go try that in Iran.
I'm amazed, man. The fact that we went from I don't know at what point. I'm sure at one point it was a one-day pride parade, and now it's a whole month. Here's the thing. There's Pride Month. There's also Transgender Day of Visibility, and there's Transgender Awareness Month. So they've got they're working. They're going to have a quarter of the calendar before it's all said and done. And I'm just like, damn.
And Black History Month has the smallest month of the year, the
shortest month of the year, and it's in February. Black people don't go outside when it's cold. What the fuck are you doing? They can't even have a parade.
Well, it's not cold here. It's 83 fucking degrees.
Or veterans get 1 day. And I bring that up too because I want to say thank you to all my fellow veterans for your service, and I hope everyone enjoys their Veterans Day on Monday.
Which, by the way, is the day before Deadpool starts streaming on Disney Plus. Sorry, I had to throw that in there. Deadpool Wolverine.
Okay, now going on to the next topic here. As we brought up earlier and led right into it a little bit sooner than I was expecting. Good knowing on that one. Let's see. Is the Kamala campaign 20 million in debt? What we know. Yeah. Kamala Harris presidential campaign ended the 2024 White House contest at least $20 million in debt, according to Politico's California bureau chief, Christopher Caladago. Is it Caladago? Cadalago.
Yeah, there we go.
I got my NASQAC moment. There you go, Michael. I'm bad with names anyway. So so he claimed on X, formerly Twitter, noting Harris' team had $118 million in the bank as recently as October 16th. Donald Trump was elected to the White House for the second time. We know this. Securing, and this is granted, the AP still hasn't called it, but sitting still at 295 Electoral College votes as of 5:30 Eastern Standard Time on Thursday, the 25th. More than what he needed for victory. Let's see, in the post on Wednesday, he wrote, I'm not even going to try to say it. Kamala Harris campaign ended with at least $20 million in debt. Per two sources familiar, Harris raised over $1 billion and had $118 million in the bank as of the October 16th. What is amazing is how, if this is true, and they went $20 million in debt, and they did this in only a couple months. Imagine what she would have done to our economy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I mean, you've seen those videos of people say, like, showing, like, hey, look, I got an email from the Kamala campaign. They want to pay me $25,000 to show up. Like, they're paying that much to people just to show up to fucking rallies or whatever. That eats your money up really fucking quick.
It does.
What did she? But what did it buy? Because like
Nothing.
all that campaign successfully did was it made me like her less. Like I didn't like her at the beginning of it, and I liked her way less by the end. And not necessarily because of what Trump was saying. Trump didn't say much about her, to be honest. It was all their attempts at outreach pissed me off. Every single thing they did to try to win voters made me angry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I will say one thing that I did notice, and it comes down to the NFL games, the amount of commercials I saw. A lot more Harris commercials than I saw of Trump's. Now, granted, we live in Theo and I live in an area that's already a blue state. So the fact that we were still seeing this amount of ad buys in a heavy blue state that wasn't going to go for Trump anyway, it is quite amazing on how much they spent on ads.
Yeah, like they already had the whole West Coast locked up.
Yeah.
Like, why? Unless they were buying national ads.
Most likely it was probably national ads, being that it was being aired during the NFL games.
Yeah, because I know a lot of ads are regional, but they do have lots of national ads for those games too.
So Newsweek has not independently confirmed that the debt around $20 million exists. The Harris-Walz campaign was contacted for comment via email Thursday outside of regular office hours. Oh, so why are you contacting them outside regular and expect to get a response?
So you can cover their asses?
And yeah. Well, we've seen that many a times before where they go, hey, we have a claim against you. We have a claim against you, and we're about to run an article, and you have 2 hours to respond.
Yeah. You know what I hate in this article at the top? Posted to X, formerly Twitter. Like, we fucking know it's Twitter by now. It's formerly Twitter. Everyone knows. My fucking 6-year-old, my 5-year-old knows it's Twitter. It's X. Not Twitter. It used to be Twitter. And he doesn't have a damn phone.
The claim was repeated on X by Breitbart's Matthew Boyle, who cited an anonymous Kamala campaign staffer. So, like normal articles, someone close to the situation knows. A source close to and familiar with the material. We hear that all the time when it comes down to it. Either it's a way to protect the staffer or protect their source, or it is a pull it out of their ass, just kind of making a comment with no actual backing.
Yeah.
The Washington bureau chief of Breitbart News Network wrote, the $20 million debt thing is real. The Harris campaign deputy campaign manager, Rob Flaherty, staffer said, is currently shopping around the Kamala fundraising email list to anyone that wants it to try to raise the money back, including other campaigns and outside groups. So if you're on a Kamala list, they are selling your information to try to recoup money.
Are they trying to sell it for other people to use it or to expose? Like, what are they? I mean, it doesn't matter why. I'm just curious.
Well, no, well, the Kamala fundraiser would be essentially the list of Democrats, donors, and stuff like that.
Okay,
They can use that other campaigns later down the road could go and use.
Okay.
So they're selling them to potential campaign managers, so that they have already mailing lists and everything else already that they can utilize coming next election.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not unheard of. They've done that before. That's not new, but
they're not gonna get 20 million for that.
They're not going to raise that 20 million back with those lists, especially when you can Google most of this stuff nowadays.
Yeah.
According to the data from the Federal Election Commission, the official Harris campaign received 1,009 million up to October 16th, including when it was the Joe Biden campaign before the incumbent president dropped out of the race in July. You mean removed? During this time, it spent around 890 million.
Wow.
Jeez.
So even before he had jumped out, that's a lot of money spent. Now, that's kind of a sign too that they weren't confident in Joe's ability to win even back then.
Yep. They knew.
That's so crazy.
Over the same period, according to the FEC, the official Trump campaign raised $392 million and spent $345 million. Well, that's somewhat of a deficit. I mean, basic math would say that's a deficit, but they were going to.
Wait, what?
Never mind. I'm not Asian. I don't know how to do math. Okay.
They have a profit of 36.2 million.
Yeah, they still had more money in the bank. So. But right here, the Harris campaign we were talking about earlier, according to the New York Times, the Harris campaign spent six figures to fly banners over 4 NFL games in October in an attempt to reach male voters in swing states. The Guardian reported in November that is also spent a reported $450,000 a day to have ads displayed on the Las Vegas Sphere in the swing state of Nevada. Wow.
I don't know this for a fact, but I have a theory that Kamala's campaign manager, I know it was a woman who was relatively young to hold the position, and I do wonder if she was a diversity hire, and that's why she shat the bed so badly.
Remember 2016 when she ran for president against 2020 when she ran against Biden in the primary?
Yeah,
she had to drop out before they even had their first primary.
Yeah. And she was a favorite in that election. People forget that.
The media favorite.
Before people heard her talk, they thought it was a done deal. She was going to be the candidate. She was coming for Biden's neck. And then as soon as she was out there, it just became clear that was not going to happen.
Well, it comes down to the first debate where Tulsi Gabbard just went for the jugular with her. And that just completely, from that point on, just completely destroyed any chance or hope she even had to even get close to it. And she was the media darling.
Yeah. Think she dropped out because she blew her money then too?
Yeah. Harris delivered a consistent speech on Wednesday in Washington, D.C.'s Howard University, which she attended as a student. The vice president said Americans must accept the election results, adding, "Hear me when I say the light of America promises will always burn bright." And she still lost.
Crazy.
It's nuts, man.
But did you all see it seems that the dementia of Biden seems to have alleviated when he came out, had a bounce in his step, smile, all nice. Dude. I mean, great. I really do think some of those comments he was making towards the end of the campaign cycle was out there to hurt Kamala.
Yeah. I don't think he's happy about the way things played out.
I agree. I think he knew that they were coming for him. So he like quit taking his pills or whatever, or they were drugging him. And now he's clear-headed. So now he's like, fuck you dudes.
I'm wondering if that drugging was what was causing him to have all of those reactions, because he seemed to be a little bit more normal.
Yeah.
Granted, he still mumbled a little bit. I mean, he still was having a little bit of difficulty speaking at times, but nothing compared to what we were seeing even from the debate.
Yeah.
The debate, it almost looked like he wasn't even there half the time. And the split screen was not favorable in any kind of way to him. That was a complete, you could contrast the two candidates so easily between the two.
Yeah. I think Biden might have voted for Trump. I don't think Jill would have. I just Michael's question.
Some people are kind of playing to the fact that she wore red, almost like a giving a nod to the direction they were going to vote by wearing red specifically, and it was not just a normal red; it was very Republican red.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of people are speculating. I mean, I highly doubt they'll ever come out and say who they actually voted for, but I just have a sneaking suspicion that we've heard over the last 3.5, 4 years that the Biden White House portion did not get along with the Kamala the side of the White House. Jill hated Kamala. So I just have a feeling there's a lot of vengefulness between the two. And then Joe being yanked against his will, essentially, out of the position. He's bitter about it, and he was going to take his revenge. So he's going to call the Trump supporters garbage right before. He's going to sit there and say all these things that are not going to help the Kamala campaign in any kind of way and doesn't care.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, you're right.
And even if it wasn't him directly saying it, it was probably Jill that was putting those things in his head.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're getting ready to close up the stream, but as a feature of the show, we are now going to get into the sponsor section of tonight's show.
Excellent.
Tonight's sponsor is Old Sponge, a sponge that has served you well over a long period of time. There are many sponges out there, and maybe we should trade up to a new sponge. But this sponge has been great to you and has gotten a lot clean. Thank you to this sponge for sponsoring this stream.
It's a good dependable sponge. You don't want to learn a whole new sponge. You don't want to.
Right. You have to work it in. It's got to learn the forms of your dishes and silverware.
I thought you were gonna say dick.
It's got to.
Oh, jeez.
It's got to relearn how you like to be touched. You don't want to do that. It doesn't look as nice as a new sponge, but
right.
God, and then somebody else is going to want to use your sponge. That's no good. So you gotta stick with the sponge that brought you here. You know what I'm saying? Old sponge.
Right. It's your sponge, and don't share that sponge. That's your sponge. It's learned you. It knows you. It's like a family pet. You don't get rid of that sponge.
Michael. Oh God.
We'll go around the horn here and tell everyone where you're at and what you're up to. Theo, we'll start with you.
Hold on. Yeah, I am. Hold on, let me put I got my link tree here. I'm actually putting my link tree in the private chat right now.
Okay.
That's where all my links are. If you want to figure out where I'm going to be performing, where you can come see me, go ahead and follow me on Instagram and Twitter. And please follow me on YouTube. It's very important that I grow my YouTube. I have a live show concept that I'm working on, and I need to be able to stream it. So I need more followers on YouTube. So let's make that happen. Let's get some subscribers. Thanks, people. I appreciate you.
Shit, yeah, man.
Darnell?
Hey, So yeah, I will be on the Curse of Strahd tomorrow with on Nate's channel. Then immediately following, I'll be on the MSK show. I am going to be doing Space Jockeys again this week. We're doing Resident Evil, the games, books, comics, movies, everything. Then the MSK show Monday, and then Quiz Time is back after a 1 week hiatus for the best night of the year. We'll be back with the tournament to determine this year's champion. Week 2 of the tournament, and then I don't know, whatever in the week I pop up. Also, this weekend I will have one, possibly 2 songs debuting on my music channel. Let's see if I can get that link.
Yeah, get the link.
Still,
on
same link. Oh, Michael got it for me.
Yep. Mike's on it.
But yeah, that's where I'll be. So yeah, check that shit out. It's a funny fucking dude right here. Fucking love this dude.
Well, thank you for tuning in. The show is still kind of floating on when I'm going to set some times. I think this might be a pretty standard mix in between the end of Iron Show and then leading up to Beazle Pub over on the Double Made May Do It channel. I think it's a good little, just kind of small little spot that will be good for streaming. So I'm pretty much probably going to keep this schedule for Fridays. As for an additional day, I want to get at least one more day mixed in so that there's at least 2 shows a week. And the show that's going to be on one of the other days is going to be under the title of All the Good Show Titles Are Already Taken podcast. And that one's going to be more of a pop culture and fun. This one's going to be a little bit more leaning towards kind of news topics. So thanks for everyone watching. Make sure that I would ask that you like and subscribe if you haven't already. And we will see you on the next stream. Everyone have a good night.